Hello indie game fan, more awesome releases and updates that you can play right now, beginning with the hilariously titled Don't on My Roof, a bullet heaven style roguelite where you're fighting off pigeons, looking to be following that formula but where there is a defense element in the house which does have a leveling meter of its own and looks pretty interesting. This next title is neat since it reminds me of games from my childhood where C.A.R.L is a puzzle action platformer that will feel familiar to 90s kids, coming to us from YouTuber Nintendo and developer Morning Star Studio, best known for a robot named Fight. It has you delving into the depths of the mysterious Kent Industries to uncover sinister secrets, but the design and vibe of this absolutely nails the feel of the 90s, where it's a different style of game that I think you should check out even if you have no nostalgia for that era. This video is brought to you by Patch Quest from developer Lychee Game Labs and publisher Curve Games, where its latest update titled Labyrinth releases today on the 13th of October. This new update to the monster taming roguelite with Metroidvania elements added 2 new zones in Crystal and Rust, new monsters, pins and full localization support, continuing to flesh out the game which is already very good in its current state. I love the variety of monsters, the lassoing mechanic that you use to capture wild ones, and even permanent upgrades and progressions at your home base. Some of you may recall that I had this on the list of the best upcoming games of the month, where it was scheduled for release out of early access today, but they chose to remain in early access to complete the experience. Initially, the game's final boss was to be released in a post-launch update, but feedback from the early access community was that it would be weird, but that is still the plan and timeframe they are targeting, but not much else has changed since after this, there will be a winter update before the 1.0 release, being a fantastic title worth a play. I was a little hesitant to show off Trail Outs initially, since racing games can be hit or miss, but it does appear that this is more of the former, being an arcade-style racer with destruction elements, filling in a very nice gap in the market that used to be filled with games from the Flatout and Burnout series. Reviews have been generally positive, although there are some complaints of poor handling, but definitely look into this if you love the genre. Violent Animal Crossing Longvinter is a game currently in early access, releasing updates 1.0.9 about a month ago, where the cute exterior hides something more intense. While the characters sure look like Villager from Animal Crossing, this is a multiplayer open-world sandbox where you're able to take assault rifles and to shoot at other players, with the usual complaints of griefing, where a private server with friends is perhaps the way to go. This new update adds new islands to explore and most critically, boats and bunkers, as well as the usual new weapons, hairstyles, fish, hats and more, making this quite the curiosity. An interesting looking game which released out of early access is King of Retail, one where you play as the manager of a retail store, having to hire staff, stock the shelves, manage inventory, and ultimately make it a profitable business. And then take it to the next level in scaling up and building your empire, having a fantastic reception.
When my father, the Emperor of the known universe, learned of the turmoil upon Arrakis, he was left with little choice but to intervene. If his terrifying legion of C.A.R.L, who strike fear into even the most formidable of warriors.
French developer C.A.R.L Games has really grown from a small indie studio to a good-sized team with their own publishing arm, recently taking on 50 million euros of investment, so they have graduated to not-so-indie territory, even more so with Dune Spice Wars due to the license, where the House Corrino update is of interest. This is an excellent 4X RTS in the vein of their earlier title Northgard, where similarly, this new faction has its own benefits and drawbacks, but it is really shaping up to be excellent.
Then he would make sure that there would be no escape, and we would all pay for the violence of our ancestors.
Make it worth my time.
We also had the paid DLC for the action-adventure title Nobody Saves the World, which released in January this year, with this expansion titled Frozen Hearth. This adds a new underground region with new challenges, puzzles, and 2 new forms, including the mechanic and the killer bee, even adding a mini golf game, making this even better. Me being me, I really love the look and concept of another farming roguelike, one that does have vibrant pixel art and is something very different in the space. While there is a Stardew Valley style toolbar at the bottom of the screen, you play as a disembodied cursor, tending to your crops and animals, or chopping trees or fishing, having to maximize profits in order to pay rent, looking like a delight. An amazing roguelike platformer currently in early access is Have a Nice Death, where you play as the Grim Reaper taking things into your own hands, releasing the Natural Disasters update, which of course features a bunch of elemental enemies, including a boss with the power to create water clones of herself, and a giant storm cloud opera singer, as well as new enemies in the new Natural Disasters Department biome, which is very different from everything else in the game so far, looking to join the best someday.